Hello, girls. Hey, it is our last duplicate training. So thankful to you guys for tuning in to this training. So I think it's been a good use of a few minutes every week for the past 6 weeks to kind of brush up some skills that y'all need as leaders of your own teams now and growing organizations. So thank y'all for tuning in for these. I appreciate it. I'm pre-recording this one because while y'all are watching this, I'm actually at the beach with my family, and I know myself well enough to know that there's a 0% chance that I would be able to do this at the beach and be able to do it well. So I'm coming to you. I recorded this a few days before you're watching it. Hey, tonight we're going to talk about running the marathon, okay? Time management, how you're using your time and being honest about that, and how you use that in relation to your team and in relation to your own personal business and how you kind of have your goals set out there. So time management was something that came up a few times that I've had some people ask me questions about, like, how do you manage this? Because all of a sudden I have this business I'm trying to grow plus a team. So we're going to look at ways to treat this like a marathon, how to be playing the long game. Okay. Y'all are at the point in your business where you are hopefully seeing the long game. This is not a like, oh, if I'm successful, but when I'm successful, because you're already there, you're already growing successful teams and seeing the benefit of having teams under you and what that looks like in growing an organization. And so it's no longer when I'm successful, but as I continue to be successful. And so you need to start looking at this playing the long game and how you're going to be able to sustain this kind of growth where it still brings you life and gives you energy, but also is healthy for your organization. Okay, and the pace that you're going to be working at. So our most precious resource in this business, okay, there are loads of resources at our disposal, but the one that is most precious and most valuable to you is your time. That is the thing that everybody doesn't have enough of. Nobody is sitting around going, I just have so much time. I don't know what to do with all this time, right? No one's like that. We're all busy in different ways. Some of us busy with kids, some busy with jobs, some busy with family, some busy with travel. Everyone is busy. No one is not busy, right? But it's how we're choosing to use our time and how we're choosing to invest that time. Managing it is really key. That's really the key part of using your time is how you manage it. So what's your time worth? I remember a few years ago, I was at the convention in Austin, and I was a level 5 leader and got to go into some special training. And one of the trainings I went into was with Romy Noonstadt, who y'all know, she wrote the book, Get Over Your Damn Self, which I think we've talked about, probably most of you own, have given, have read. It's a great book. And she did a training. And at the time I hadn't read the book. And so I was on the edge of my chair, like, this woman is crazy awesome, and I was hearing all this stuff and she was just so raw, and I was jotting notes, and Molly and I were looking at each other like, can you believe this lady? She's amazing. And so she gave us this kind of formula, I guess. And at the time I jotted it down, but it was kind of just part of the fire hydrant that is convention, where you get all this great information, and it kind of got stashed away until I was looking over my notes one day, and I was like, I'm going to do this. So she gave us this equation to figure out what your time is worth. And I want you guys all to do this. I'm going to actually post this equation after, and I want you guys to fill it out, because if you actually do the math, you're going to be stunned, right? And so when she said this at convention, it's also in her book, which I read a year and a half or so later. I was shocked. I did the math. So the equation is this. I'll go over it quickly and then I'll post it so you can look. It says blank hours a week. So how many hours a week are you working, right? Times 52 weeks a year equals how many hours per year that you are working, right? So I did just some simple math here, right? I said 10 hours a week for 52 weeks a year, okay? There's obviously room for change. Some weeks it's way more, some weeks it's less, depends. And that's just random number. I don't know that you literally doing that. It's just for conversation's sake. That's 520 hours a year that I'm working, right? Let's just say I want to make $4,800 a year. Okay. That's, $4,000 a month as my annual earnings. And I only want to work my 10 hours a week, which is 520 hours a year. Then the value of my hour, okay, the time value, what I need to be charged per hour in order to make that money is $92.31. Okay. So for some of y'all out there in the workforce know that to be able to bill my time per hour, I would be billing $92 an hour. In my world, that seems crazy. Maybe Katie, you out there as a lawyer, like, yep, that's about right. Or maybe I'm worth way more than that. But in this business, to think that the hour that I spend on my business is $92 an hour, that really helps me reprioritize and think about what that hour of time is actually worth, right? If 1 hour of my time is worth $92, then I need to reevaluate how I am using that time, right? So that really sort of like clicked a light bulb on when I'd heard the equation and even written it down and even skimmed over it in the book. But until I actually like plugged in some realistic numbers for me, and those numbers will change, obviously, different seasons, but it really made me go, gosh, $80 to $90 an hour, I need to use this time efficiently, right? So how should I be spending my time? What should I be doing? So when you kind of break it down, and she went on after she kind of showed, and I mean, her number is like hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of dollars an hour. So, I mean, even as you continue to grow and you see what that time is worth, she broke it down even more and said, this is what you need to be doing. The number one thing, and I probably have said this every week as we've trained, is to not lose sight of your personal business. The temptation as you grow as a leader in this business is to start managing. You've got this team, you've got these girls who are all doing good stuff, and you start just managing. And all of a sudden, this healthy organization becomes, oh gosh, whoa, where does everybody go and what's happening? Because you're not continuing to pour into your own personal income producing activities. So the most important thing you need to be doing in this very, very valuable time that you have is prospecting and bringing on new business partners. Okay. That's the number one thing. That needs to be 70% of your time is doing your own personal income producing activities, recruiting, being a leader that you want them to be, right? So it's setting good examples and training your new people, recruiting new people, working them through the system. Inspire by modeling. As you bring people on, they're not going to be inspired to be doing the same thing if they don't see their leader doing it. So this is all things you need to be thinking about as you're growing your business, is if you have people under you who don't see you doing the hard things, then they're not going to do the hard things. So you're leading by example, managing new people and keeping new people in your funnel, right? New conversations all the time. The thing about this is that the easy part of our business is managing our team. Okay. That's easy. That's really fun. I just got off the phone with Virginia a minute ago. I love talking to her. It's so fun. It's so encouraging. You feel so good. I hang up the phone and I think, oh, this is great. Business is growing, but my personal business has not grown yet today because I have done nothing for income producing for my personal business, right? Okay. So the managing of your team, that's the easy and the fun part. The hard part is doing the IPA that's going to get you to your goals. Okay. That needs to be the biggest use of this very valuable time that you have, right? The next thing is doing three-way calls, making yourself available and teaching your team that three-way calls are super effective. I don't know that I have ever done a three-way call that has not gone to becoming a consultant. Maybe a couple of times I can think of, but traditionally that is a very, very effective way. So that needs to be something that you always say yes to. If one of your consultants asks you, hey, could you do a three-way call? Or I've got this girl, yes, we figure it out. Okay. And if you can't do it, you find someone who can. Three-way calls are a very, very valuable use of your time. Okay. BBLs and training, very good use of your time, because that is going to grow your consultants on your downlines businesses, which is just going to, in the long run, set them up well to be a strong leg or a strong consultant on your team. So very good use of your time. Power shot training. Okay, as you guys begin to grow these teams and have these consultants, it is an easy thing to be on the phone with them and talk to them. It is also a hard thing to manage that and that not suck all of your time, right? To where it's like, I have these 2 hours to work today, maybe sporadically. And for 2 hours, I was on the phone with 4 girls. For I was checking in with them, and that took me 2 hours. So you need to get strategic in the way that you talk and check in with your teammates, okay? I have been at different phases of this in my business, and sometimes I have an hour and I really want to engage with you and talk to you and catch up and really let's throw some ideas around, and you get off on all these tangents, and sometimes I've got 10 minutes. And so I try to, at the beginning of a conversation, say, yeah, I'm about to run in and pick up my daughter. I've got 10 minutes. Or, hey, yeah, I'm driving here. Let's chat while we're on the phone, so that they know from the onset, I have this amount of time. Let's use it well. And you have some specific things that you're going to ask them. Okay. So using these, I call them power shot, not that I tell them that's what I'm doing with them, but in my head, I'm thinking I need to get some quick conversations in with my teammates to check in on their business and their motivation and make sure that things are moving along for them, and also just to make myself available. But you do need to structure that time and be clear, or it can be a huge time suck for you, okay? So there are some great questions that you can ask. I kind of use, hey, what's going on? What's in your funnel? Any new conversations happening? And I want the new conversations to be the things we talk about, because a lot of times, even I know personally, I can talk about the same girl for a month and that's not going anywhere, but I keep her in, oh, that's still something in my funnel, but it hasn't moved. It's not new. So it's just what it is. Let's move on. What's new? What's new? Who else have you talked to? So I like to ask the question, who are new people in your funnel? What's going on there? What can I do to help you? Are you finding that it's easy to be motivated right now? Not easy to be motivated right now. How, what are some things that you need from me? Like, let's talk about this. Are you able to use this call that's coming up? Are you able to get somebody? Are you planning an event? So there's some things that I want to know, not just in general, hey, how's it going managing your PCs, but like, what is my consultants, my team doing to grow their own business? Okay. So you need to have some strategic questions that you kind of fall into in order to use that time well. Okay. So that is a great use of your time if you manage it. Otherwise, it can be a huge time suck and you feel like, I worked my business for 2 hours today, but really all you did was catch up with a teammate and chit chat and throw business in, as you could. So, they are helpful, the power shots, and really mandatory actually to keep connected with your team, but you've got to make sure that you're managing those really well and giving them a time frame so that you don't suck up a ton of time doing that. And then finally, there is an element of using your time as far as recognition and incentive for your team. So there's a portion of your time that needs to be spent on recognizing people as they excel in the business, or sending out little treats, or writing notes, or being kind of personal. Okay. So that is an element that is valuable to you as a leader of a team. And finally, we talked about this last week, but doing some personal development stuff. That is really a good use of your time. It might feel a little bit like, gosh, with all these things, how am I going to sit here and read this book? But the more that you are being encouraged in growth, the more your team and your business will grow from that. So that's something that honestly every leader says, so who am I to argue with that, right? So now we're going to talk just a little bit about practically managing your time, okay? Because we all have this very limited, very costly time, right? We found out how much that is worth. So we want to make sure that when we do have these spaces of time, that we're not whittling it away to things that are really ultimately not going to grow our business. Okay. If this time is so valuable and so precious and so hard to come by, let's talk about a couple ways that we can use it well. Okay. I am a big fan of Sunday night calls because I try to listen on Sunday nights. because I find that it helps me while I'm listening and I'm maybe taking notes and I maybe just like absorbing a little information. I'm also thinking, oh gosh, I need to circle back around to this person and I need to do this week. And this is somebody on my list that I have not reached out to her yet. And it just gets my mind spinning in Rodan and Field's world. So I found early on that listening to Sunday night calls were very, very beneficial for me, because the training is good, but also it helps me get my mind going for the week ahead, for what needs to be on my plate for the next few, the next few days, right? So I think it's very important to, on Sunday night, get organized for my week, okay? I try to think ahead. Let me go ahead and send a text to this person to see if I can meet them for coffee on Thursday, or I need to make sure I connect on Wednesday about this. It helps me get my week organized. Little bite-sized chunks. It's not like I have hours and hours that I'm working every single day, but I do know that, okay, on Wednesday I need to make this phone call. Thursday I need to do this. Here's a list of some people I'm getting in touch with this week, okay? So Thursday night, schedule your time. Look ahead to the week, who you need to be reaching out to, who you need to be talking to, and get a plan. Write it down so that every day you look and there's 3 Rodan and Fields actions to be taken, but you don't have to spin your wheels trying to come up with what those actions are. And it keeps your week sort of more organized. So I do think that Sunday nights for me, that's kind of just a practice that I've adopted. I really try to listen to the call every Sunday night. Summers are a little hard. I'll be full disclosure there. Because we're at the lake all day Sunday and I come home and I'm like, yeah, no, I cannot. But I do have flexibility other times that I'm able to get it in. But I have suffered because I have gotten out of that habit, okay? Scheduling your time, blocking it off for the week where you're going to fit things and what needs to happen. And secondly, every night before you go to bed, taking just a few minutes to look ahead to your next day. And I use my Post-it notes. I go through these like crazy, where I'll write down who I'm needing to talk to that day. And then I take it with me as I go about my day. And if I find myself in the car for 10 minutes, I know who I need to call or I need to shoot a message to. And I can just really use my time at a traffic light to get a message sent out. Whereas if I didn't have my Post-it note with who I was wanting to talk to that day, I wouldn't be organized and be able to use my time really efficiently, right? So a question that has come up a few times is, okay, I have this amount of time and now I have this amount of work because my team is growing. I have all these people needing things from me. I don't have any more time. Like, my time did not multiply, but my demands have multiplied, right? And that's just the way, that's a truthful, honest thing that happens as your business grows. So we have to figure out how to wisely use these hours that are so valuable, right? So one of the things I remember when I was on staff with Young Life, that what my boss used to say, he would say, cut the fat. Cut the fat. Like, what is the fat in your life that can just go? What are the things that, you do, but like, I don't know, I could probably do without doing those things. So cutting the fat. In this business, cutting out those fat fluff things for me look like, I don't need to recreate the wheel, right? So when I get a question, I'm able to say, oh, you'll find that in Pulse, and let them go figure it out. Okay. You don't need to, oh, let me just help you with that, or let me just get that for you, or I'll go find it and send it to you. You need to equip and allow them. So you don't need to recreate things. You don't need to spend your time recreating training calls. If there's already a training call on something, you can send them, say, you know what, if you want to learn about, if they have a specific question about that, you obviously need to talk to consultants on your team or whatever, but there are so many resources at your disposal. You can say, oh, there's an awesome 3-way call. Listen to that. And then, let me know if you have any questions. There's a training on 3-way calls on Daily Experience, or, there's so many of these kind of things. You don't need to recreate those, for people. So use the resources well, and, no need to recreate all that. Use Facebook Smart. Obviously, Facebook is a huge part of our business. It also sucks more time away from my business than I can even imagine. I can find myself, oh, I've worked for 2 hours today, but really I scrolled for about an hour and a half and I sent 3 messages, right? So I don't even, sometimes I'm so annoyed with myself because even when I look at Facebook, I'm like, basically 90% of what I look at is Rodan and Fields, other Rodan and Fields people. That is such a stupid thing for me to be doing. Why am I wasting my time doing that? So you have to adopt the discipline to not get caught in the hole, you know, not get caught in the scroll of Facebook, and stay away from drama, right? There is drama. And there are girls and there are conversations and, oh gosh, well, I was talking to this girl and then she talked to her too. And now, you know, what do we do? How do we work this out? If it does not involve your bottom line, stay out. Just stay away from it. And as you grow in this business and you get to know other sidelines and all this kind of stuff, you'll see that it's not an ugly thing. It's not necessarily bad. It's just the way, you know, so just don't get involved. Nothing to say. Just moving on, keeping your eye on what is your priority and what is income producing, right? So Romy has a question in one of her trainings where she says, you know, we all have this time, that very valuable time. But a lot of times the excuse that we come up with is, I just don't have time. Like, I just am running out of time. The fact of the matter is, you do have time. You make time for things that are important, okay? So the question you might need to ask instead of, I don't have time for this, is, are you making it a priority? And sometimes the answer to that is no, I'm not. And you sort of just need to own that. Like, this is not a priority. Watching Netflix is a priority because I have time for that. Or getting my hair done is a priority because I have time for that. But so is your business a priority? And just being honest about that, because sometimes it sucks so much out of us feeling guilty or like we're not doing well or we can't manage it all. It's not that we can't, it's that we aren't. And then we feel bad about it. And that drains us even more. Okay. So maybe just being honest about, is this a priority? Am I working this like it's a priority? It's a really healthy question to answer, because if the answer is yes, then great. Then there is time, and you can structure your time in order to make the things happen that need to happen. But sometimes it's not. Like next week when I'm at the beach, my priority is going to be being at the beach with my family, not Rodan and Fields. But that means that I had to work extra hard this week to get this training done, get some extra reach outs in, get some meetings scheduled for the following week, so that next week I can go. That's the beauty of this business. But it does mean that I've had to make it an extra priority this week, right? The number one thing that you need to remember is doing your income producing activities. That is the hard stuff of our easy business, okay? Our business is so simple, but there are some things that are difficult. I think I say that every time I talk about this business. And the things that are difficult for me personally, and I think probably for you guys, is doing the hard things of reaching out, growing your business, making sure that I'm keeping that a priority. So I'm going to challenge you guys to look at your schedule. Look at ways where you notice that you have some fat, right? You have some wasted time, some things that you're not doing efficiently, adopt some habits that will help you use your time better, to where when you're free, you're really free. But when you're working, you are nose down, 1 hour of $80 an hour work, okay? Because when you think about your potential to make in that hour, and say you want to make $60,000 a year, $100,000 a year, you guys, that's totally feasible. But you've got to look at your hours like you're worth that much. And an hour of work is not an hour of scrolling through Facebook and sending one message, right? So let's get really honest and raw about how we're using our time and come up with some ways that you can effectively do that and organize your time so that you can use that very valuable hour. Okay. Thank y'all so much. I'd love comments if you have questions or things that weren't covered, because we're going to probably do these trainings like on a semi-regular basis as the organization grows, and different people will be in different groups. So I would love some feedback on what you found helpful, what you think would be a better use of time, or, I really mean that. I do not want to keep doing these if they are not helpful. So, okay. Thank you guys so much. Love y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.